In 1989, I wrote the first really great song I ever wrote. And I just knew when I'd finished this song that it was really good. I knew that I'd really cracked something, that I'd moved to the next level. So I say 1989, I was 19 years old. I was playing with A minor, and I'd already learned about suspensions. You've got suspensions. The 4/3 suspension is the first suspension you're going to learn. So it's that. It's that suspension. But I was also listening to a lot of Christopher when I was younger, and there were songs like, that's a 2/1 suspension in Lonely Sky. Right? And then there's other songs of his like, old-fashioned people, they never know why the world is changing day to day, and moves so fast it leaves them in another time. Right? And so I was experimenting with this 2/1 suspension in a minor key. Minor suspension. So instead of this, we had, whoa, that's really harsh. So combining the two, I came up with this idea of, and then, and I thought, that's great. What if we just go round and round with that? I had a habit of going round and round and round with things in my songs, which I've curbed as I've got older, and I've managed to be a bit more developmental in my music. But back then I used to go round and round in a circle. So the first thing I came up with was, and then down to the F, but instead of going, or, instead of doing that, I thought, no, that doesn't sound right at all. So let's just keep the right hand doing the same thing and see what happens. And it felt like it wanted to come back again. And then I added in the, so it went like this. And then nothing, and then back to. And then let's slow down again and see what happens. Yes. And then I was 19. Yeah, obvious. I know it's a bit obvious going to the E chord, but that's what I did. I was 19 and I was basically doing a version of the 50s sequence. But I was doing it in a minor key. Right? Which is, it's a really, really obvious sequence. But that wasn't obvious. That was the new thing I put in, and that was how the bass line went with it. And then I thought, well, as that's all rather predictable, rather kind of, even then I knew that this wasn't phenomenally original. So I thought I'll do something really a bit different when we get to the chorus. We'll really throw you. We'll do weird key changes in the chorus. So we started with this. And I sang very low back then. I didn't have the range I had. So I was in A minor. And it went like this. I used to walk these streets alone until the night had slipped away. And when I finally came back home, my mind would tear itself away, and I would find myself in haunted dreams, the echoes of a life I gave away. And then I thought, now we do something weird. We'll keep that note and we'll pick another chord that has that note in it. And this is something I've done all my life ever since. But we'll pick a weird chord. I missed my chance. And then we'll keep descending again because it's a descending song. In fact, everything used to descend that I wrote back then. Everything descended. So we've already done that with the bass. Let's keep descending. So, echoes of a life I gave away. I missed my chance and threw it all away. There's nothing left to live for. Threw it all away. Golden day I'll never see. My life would end. By the way, so we started in A minor, then we had that weird thing, I missed my chance, and then we went to E flat. Threw it all away. E flat major. There's nothing left to live for. And now to F minor. Threw it all away. A golden day I'll never see. And now we go to G minor. My life would end. And I would leave now. Back to F minor, but something deep inside me leads me on, leads me onward. And B flat suspension. Now from that B flat major chord, we fly back to A minor. Listen to this. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that fantastic? It was all fantastic. It was all fantastic until I heard the Brian May song. 6 months later, after sending this tape to all the different record companies, and I heard empty spaces. What are we living for? Abandoned places. Guess you know the score. On and on. Does anybody know what we are looking for? And that was when I realised someone had beaten me to the idea, or so I thought. Someone beat me to the exact same idea. The exact same idea. Not just the 2-1-4-3 suspension on the minor chord, but the bass going to this note. What are the chances? What are the chances that someone beat me to it? Empty spaces, what are we living for? Abandoned places, yes you know the score. On and on, does anybody know what we are looking for? On the plus side, I thought my chorus was better than his. I thought my chorus was better. How does the chorus go on that song? The chorus on that song goes... Show must go on. Just goes back to the A minor with the big shouty. The show must go on. The show must go on. Same chords again. Inside my heart is breaking. My makeup may be flaking, but my smile still stays on. Then we get a funny riff. We get a strange riff there. Whatever happens... No, I played my own B flat chord there, which was that weird chord that brought me back. But isn't it interesting that they also did a funny chord to bring them back? The similarities in the two songs are quite extraordinary. But I think the thing that I was disappointed by, very disappointed about this song, was the fact, not the fact that they had come up with the exact same idea as me 6 months after I had sent that cassette off to a record company. And if you listen to Brian May's story, he talks about sitting in a recording studio and these chords just came into his head from nowhere. From nowhere. Because it's not like a Brian May song, is it even? It does sound like a Captain Wild song, but it doesn't sound much like a Brian May song. It's a very odd song. It's a bit of an oddity in their repertoire, in their Queen repertoire. It's very dark. It's very Captain Wild and dark. It's not very Queen. He said, I was just messing about with this. Well, that's odd, because so was I 6 months earlier. What's most annoying is it was the first really good song I wrote. But I think my chorus is better. I'm going to play my original song now. My 100% original song, written in 1989. But I'm going to play it in a key that's more suitable for my voice now. We're going to play it in E minor. Yeah. So this is it. Thrown It All Away, 1989. I think it starts without any bass. I used to walk these streets alone until the night had slipped away. And when I finally came back home, my mind would tear itself away. And I would find myself in haunted dreams, the echoes of a life I gave away. I missed my chance and threw it all away. There's nothing left to live for, threw it all away. A golden day I'll never see, my life would end, and I would leave now. But something deep inside me leads me on, leads me on. A fall of snowflakes on the line, an evening sun that slowly sets. I cannot hold them in my hands, so I must try not to forget. For when I leave, I'll never see these things again, and so I shall remember yet. And like a dance, I'll throw it all away. There's better things to live for, throw it all away. A golden day is just a day, my life would end, and I would leave now. But something deep inside me leads me on, leads me on. And it just fades. That's the song. That's the song I wrote in 1989. I can't remember the last time I ever sang it all the way through. I really like it. I shouldn't say that, should I? Anyway, did you like it? Did you like that song? It's a song from a long time ago. And I've done it in another key. I kind of like it in E minor. Very sad, very dark key. I'm amazed I could still play it after all these years. For the words I'll never forget, because I must confess I listen to my own music a great deal. A great deal. Like Chopin, I tend to listen to my own music a lot. And that helps me to build on my own style, my own motifs. It helps me to immerse myself in my own genre, if you like, my own personal genre of music. And that's how I keep my music of a style, if that makes sense. I keep it narrow. And that's why you can probably listen to that song and then listen to a recent song off one of my Captain Wild albums, and you'll think, gosh, it's definitely the same writer that wrote that song. It's doing the same kind of stuff. So That's how I like it to be. I like to have a flavour that's my flavour, um, and and I like that flavour. That's why I chose it. That's why I choose my flavours, because I like them. So it makes sense. I listen to a lot of my own music. Don't listen to a lot of other stuff outside of my own music. Um, but that's a song from '89, going back a very, very long way. That bore a striking resemblance to a song written by Brian May shortly afterwards. At the time, I really did think they had simply beaten me to that idea. At the time, I thought music's about ideas. It's about having a new idea, and someone just beat me to that new idea. And I felt miffed about that. But it's only years later that I've put together that song, like the statistical likelihood of coming up with something so very similar um, stretches my credence a little bit more these days. I'm a bit more cynical as well, maybe. I'm a bit older and a bit more cynical. But listen, Brian, if you did steal my idea, or borrow my idea, if you borrowed my idea for your song, do you know what? It was a good enough song. It was a really good song. If you did happen to hear one of my tapes, you know, and that's why those chords were rattling around in your head and you heard them and you made it into that song, it's a great song. I love it. Your version of my song. But I'd just like you to say so. I'd just like you to admit it. Don't want any money. Just like you to admit it one day. That maybe you overheard something. Maybe your A&R man, maybe one of your managers had a cassette in the car that he was listening to. Here, take a listen to this. It's really interesting chords this guy's come up with. Don't like the rest of the song, but listen to those opening chords. Something quite interesting going on there. Or maybe it was an accident. Maybe you heard it accidentally. But I find it very, very stretches my credence now. With everything I've now learned about music through my whole life, it stretches my credence to think that you came up with that song so soon after me. But maybe you did. Maybe you simply did. Maybe it's such a great idea that two great composers came up with it. Brian May and Captain Wild.